How's it going, everyone? Data here, and welcome back to the Vancouver Canucks franchise mode here on NHL 24. Moving into episode number 22, the second half of year number 6, the 2028-29 regular season. In the last one, we kicked off our first season as reigning Stanley Cup champions, but we started to see a lot of mixed signals. Are we going to try and push for the repeat? Are we moving into a tank rebuild, retool kind of phase? Through the first half of the season, we are the third worst team in the NHL, especially coming off of a Stanley Cup victory. This is kind of uncharted territory, not just for this series, but for this channel as a whole. Usually we try and stay competitive once we get that Stanley Cup, but as we see through the halfway point, we're on pace to go 32, 42, and 8. 16, 21, and 4 is our record right now through 41 games played, giving us 36 points. We're in the mix for the bottom of the league, and we knew that this was a possibility headed into this season. After we won our Stanley Cup and did right by our core and our veterans, we moved out Kuzmenko, we moved out JT Miller, we made a few moves. Last episode, we moved out Sam Reinhart and brought in Josh Norris. We brought in Dougie Hamilton for Tom Willander in a hockey deal, a one-for-one swap type of thing. And, through the halfway point this year, Elias Pettersson is point per game. Owen Tippett's on pace to have a career high. Of course, we brought him in over the offseason as well. But aside from that, it has been a massive lack of scoring. Quinn Hughes, who's usually good for, 70, even 80, 90 points, after putting up 53 last year, he's on pace for 56 this year. So Quinn Hughes has dropped the ball. Ratu, all right. Josh Norris, since we picked him up, 6 points in 11 games, -4. All right. Mark Stone, of course, the veteran who won the Conn Smythe last year. We brought him back for 1 year. He's definitely been slowing down. We're going to start to think about, are we going to be moving those expiring contracts, kind of consolidating around the guys that we're going to be having next year? That's kind of the conversation that we'll have in just a few minutes when we look at the comments from the assistant general managers. Aside from that, just a lot of lack of scoring in the depth here in the bottom 6. Caden O'Brien, we wanted him to have a breakout season. We're giving him over 13.5 minutes per night, and he's on pace to score 26 points. He had one more point in 9 more games last year, playing 9:22 of ice time. So up to 13:37 of ice time, he's at just 13 points in 41 games. He's been a disappointment. We're trying to get growth from him, our former first-round pick in 2024 at 25th overall. Podkolzin, okay, we're not expecting big points from him, but even Callum Ritchie, Tom Goldman. We brought back Zach Hyman. He's on pace for 14 points. So just trying to bank on the veterans. What could they do? Let's give them the opportunity to show what they've got. And you know what? The experiment hasn't really worked out, and that's okay. I think we did the right thing to do right by our veterans, to say, hey, we just won the Stanley Cup. We're not going to blow it up after winning the Stanley Cup, but we're going to make some big moves that have been brewing for a little while. Whoever stays can try and show what they've got, and if not, we're going to move on. We've waited half a season. We're third worst in the league. I think we're going to have to make some moves here. The goaltending has been one of the bright spots, though. Hunter Jones, who was one of the greatest franchise mode stories ever last season, he's been good despite a 14, 17, and 4 record. 1 shutout, 910 save percentage, 2.86 goals against. Not too shabby for one of the worst teams in the league. Casey DeSmith, only 7 appearances, 2 and 4, 886, 3.36. Okay, but Casey DeSmith gets a pass for all that he's done in our 5+ years now with Vancouver. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I think there could be a way in which we salvage this season. I think we have a lot of picks. We have some younger players. I think we could try and salvage it, push for the playoffs. But the question then becomes, is that what's best for this team long term? The Vancouver Canucks have already suffered through general managers who have tried to do quick retools on the fly, hasn't worked out, and then they've had to pay the price longer term. We've won the Cup, which takes a huge weight off of our shoulders. Now we want to try and not move into a 5-year rebuild. We want to say, hey, we already have some good pieces. Pettersson, Hughes, Hronik, Tippett, Ratu. Let's try and be back into the contender conversation, maybe even as soon as next season or the year after that. We have a lot of draft picks at the moment. A first, a second, 3/3, 4th, 5th, 2 6ths, and a 7th. And then in next year's draft 2030, a first, a second, 3/3, a 5th, a 6th, and a 7th. And I would like to very much add to that stockpile in this episode, especially if we're moving out those expiring pieces. But it's not just up to me, it's up to a lot of the thoughts from the assistant general managers, and we'll get into those comments right now. And by the way, before we start the episode, if you're watching this on the day of upload, ballots are still open for the Data 782 Hall of Fame, our second induction. We're still receiving ballots. If you haven't sent in your ballot yet to vote on the legends of our NHL 18 to 23 series so far and MLB The Show 23, get that in. The link for that is in the pinned comment. Get your ballot in for the next 6 inductees to the Data 782 Hall of Fame ASAP. So we'll go ahead and start off with Rowan, who got the AGMs chanting, retool, retool, retool. Sell off guys on expiring deals, Risto, Stone, etc. Look for some fringe NHL guys to make the team next year and build off of the hopeful growth of the young guys for next year as well. Always a good Monday when I get the new video notification. Keep it up with the fun series data. Go Nucks. Thank you, Rowan. I hope that you're enjoying this Saturday notification right now. Moving over to the next comment now, there were a lot of thoughts in the last one around some of the young players that we saw around the league, not necessarily ones on the block, but just young players on buyer teams that we could potentially target. Gavin highlights a couple of those in this comment, starting off by saying, difficult first half, just can't buy a goal. But I would think of this kind of like the Penguins series back on NHL 23. You've completed your mandate to win a Stanley Cup. Maybe it's not a bad thing to set this team up for the future now. So I would commit to a sell while also picking up some reclamation pieces that could still have value. The only untouchables should be Pettersson, Ratu, Tippett, and our top 4 defensemen. Maybe even Podkolzin, Goldman, Ritchie as well. In terms of the return for these players, I would love to see one or both of McQueen from the Kings or Lambert from the Jets. I'm still convinced that this team needs at least one more high-end top-line forward to really make us contenders, and both those players have the tools to do so, while their value is not unreasonable either. The Kings especially make a lot of sense, and it would be worth selling a younger piece like O'Brien or Misa to them so you can get McQueen or even Gavin McKenna, who they have. There's no shame in admitting the team is not quite ready to compete again. Let's take a step back, figure out our real core, get a high draft pick, and come back next year ready to take the league by storm. Great video data, and I'll see you in the next one. Go Nucks. Especially that last paragraph, Gavin. Great thoughts. It's sad, that we can't be competing for the Stanley Cup every year. Of course, you want to win that cup every season, but I think this is the best long-term approach to take. Cheating Heel echoed a lot of those thoughts, saying, wow, not what we wanted to see, but let's face it, we knew it was a possibility. At this point, I say we go for a hard reset and blow things up. Stone, Hyman, and Norris are gone for sure. I will just also add Stone and Hyman expiring deals. Norris has term, so any player with term, I'd probably want to wait until at least the draft so that we know what we're trading that player for, if there's a prospect that we want in particular, but we'll get to that later on. We have to see what we want to do with Hanifin, Hronik, and Hamilton, but getting younger is a must. Not sure how they simulate, but I wouldn't mind getting both of the Jiricek brothers or someone like Axel Sandin Palika on defense. We could also keep a high-value D-man like Hamilton as trade bait, exactly what I was saying, if we want to try and trade for a top 5 pick, depending on where we finish in the draft lottery, etc. I also think we need to move prospects that aren't growing for younger options, O'Brien, Misa, etc. I would give a shot to Ritchie on the second line and Goldman on the third line, as they did well during the preseason in those spots. If Ritchie then isn't cutting it on the second line for the rest of the season, we can always make a move at the draft. From my perspectives, the only untouchables right now would be Pettersson, Ratu, and Hughes. Everybody else could be up for grabs, but I'd probably keep Tippett, Jones, and Lekaramaki at least for the rest of the season and reassess at the draft if we want to move them. There's not much on the trade block interesting apart from Dominguez, a prospect in Columbus, so we'll take a look at him. Try to trade for youngsters with X factors as well. That would help for chemistry. Maybe Kemmel, maybe Lambert. If it was up to me, I'd say trade whoever we know isn't coming back next year, plus maybe some players who we're not so sure of in case interesting prospects become available at the deadline, / we want to make some sort of splash at the draft. Then we'll have money for free agency, domino, domino, domino. There's a lot to get done, but in GM data we trust. Let's rip off the band-aid and speed up this retool. Go Nucks. Thank you for all those thoughts, Cheating Heel. I agree. I think it's a mentality that we should be having. I don't think we need to blow up the entire team. I still think there's good pieces who can still help us for another run come, let's say, 2 years' time. But a lot of those expiring guys and prospects who have not shown growth can definitely be cut sometime in the second half. For our next comment, we'll hop over to Pat in the Discord server, who said, tough scene. You got that cup, but being 30th in the league at this point in the season is insurmountable. Trade Hyman, Risto, and Stone, play the young guys, and let Ryan Suter be head coach to develop and see if he is a better future head coach. I definitely think the guy to go for is Musty, Quinton Musty. You're looking at potential prospects to target. A year younger than Kemmel, who's also on the block in Nashville, but the same overall at 81, and the Sharks are looking like contenders. The Predators have Kemmel on the block, but he's medium elite. He's a year older. They're sellers. Probably wouldn't make as much sense. Kemmel, too much trade value for an 81 at 24, hard pass. I would also pass on Roger McQueen from the LA Kings. The man is allergic to shooting once he became a professional. It's a good point to raise. In the AHL and the NHL, Roger McQueen's shooting numbers have not been very good for the simulation. It may have been in some limited ice time roles, but it doesn't bode very well from a player who we'd want to be a big-time scorer. So that goes a long way in simulation, players who shoot versus players who don't shoot. So it's a great point from Pat. I assume he would have to be paid big bucks to simulate poorly, so he's a vanity 85 overall, if anything. Don't get fooled. I'd go for Musty and try to get some draft capital, then let the young fellas have a chance to get too much ice time. Great video as always. Very excited to see where you go. Pat, great thoughts. Thank you for raising that. It's easy to get caught up in, ooh, look at this, medium elite, 85 overall, young, blah, blah, blah. It's very good to mention that if the player, not to say he won't have a good career, but so far what he's shown is that he's not simulating as well as you would think for a player of his overall and player type and all that. And then even regardless of the shooting, which is a big part of the equation, but even regardless of that, as Sean Avery goes on to add, yes, plus McQueen needs to stay with the Kings. No team would trade a top 5 pick, someone who's drafted as a top 5 pick, for a playoff push. You know, maybe a first rounder in the minors who's been drafted 15 plus, but not McQueen, who's a top 5 pick. He's playing third, fourth line in LA. I believe it's more third line in the hopes of getting a cup. So of course, at this moment, he doesn't produce very much, but knows that he is a part of their future. He's not on the trade block as well, so that's another thing to take into consideration. So McQueen won't be someone who we target this episode, but I'll be curious to see how he simulates in the future. I'll go ahead and end it off by just highlighting this comment from Dan. Go ahead and pause and read if you would like. Dan outdid himself on this one, making some alterations to the famous Footprints poem, a very beautiful poem, and making some alterations, some pro Hunter Jones alterations there. So go ahead and read that if you would like. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, as much as we, of course, always want to be competitive year after year, we've accomplished what we were brought in to do, and we can consider thinking about the future with a clear conscience now, instead of feeling the pressure of a closing window. We won that cup. We got this core their ring. We moved out Kuzmenko. We moved out Miller. If things don't work out in the end for Pettersson and Hughes and some monumental stuff that happens this offseason, we can still have a clear conscience. We did the right thing, I think, in my mind, to not totally blow it up after winning the cup. We gave this squad a chance. We see that it's just not it. We're third last in the league. Now let's recoup some prospects. Let's recoup some draft capital. Let's make it happen. So I've been looking at a few potential deals. I have a lot in the works for ideas. The players who we want to move out don't have a ton of value, but if we do look at the players on expiring deals, there are some names that the top teams would definitely want to look into. So from the top there, from McIsaac down, we see a lot of different names. Of course, Alex Zuccarello, I don't think he's going to have any value at $2 million. We just signed him to get above the cap floor. But if we look later on, we see Anderson Dolan, we see Hyman, even Podkolzin, but we have him, we wanted to extend him, but I don't think we'll trade Podkolzin. But Anderson Dolan, Hyman, Ristolainen, Susi, maybe even Misa, Stone, and then after that, we have players who are going to be on extensions, like Haramaki, Hanifin, Ratu soon enough. Yeah, so those are the main ones who we're looking at. If, for example, I said, what would the league give us if I'm looking to move Mark Stone? The offer seems to be a third and a fourth, 2/3, second and a prospect from the Blackhawks. So, or we could just try and take a single prospect, a medium top 6 kind of guy. I'd prefer to get a lot of picks, just a boatload of picks, and we can use 2/3, 3/3 to trade up for a high second or whatever at the draft when we know exactly who we'd want to be taking instead of taking gambles on guys right now. Second and a third from the Canadians even. So that's the type of thing that we're looking at right now. So before we get into just trading players for picks, we do want to look at the players who we're targeting prospect-wise. So we throw out a lot of names. I looked very, very closely at Brad Lambert in Winnipeg. I tried to see if anything would work, and Winnipeg is just not interested in moving him. And that's okay. That is their prerogative. So I tried doing Brad Lambert. It just did not work out. Maybe that's a blessing in disguise. Who knows? 21 points in 40 games. It's his first full NHL season, playing under 13 minutes per night. It would have been nice to have him, but I guess it's just not meant to be. Even though the value isn't very high, Lambert, Susi, Risto, and Hyman, I think altogether, I think is what I was just doing for fun, was not getting it. So obviously, I think there's more value in saying let's get a second, 3/3, and 2/4 than just Brad Lambert, who's 25 now. So that being said, the first player I want to look at making a hard push for is Quinton Musty over on the San Jose Sharks. Musty is playing in the AHL as an 81 overall at 23 years old. They're trying to make a push this season. He has simulated okay in the AHL, 25 points in 34 games. He played 18 games in the NHL last season, scoring just 1 goal and 3 points, I guess, in fourth line role. He's playing big minutes in the AHL. I'd love to get him into the NHL, give him full-time middle six, whatever, to the end of the year, and then see what happens with him. He is signed on for 1 more year at $840K. I think this is a good idea of let's try for a reclamation type project. I am a little scared of the 77 and 80 shooting accuracies, but he's a physical guy. He's got the 89 stick checking. He has some things that do impress me. 85 passing, that could definitely see some growth. I think Quinton Musty is a guy that we definitely want to look at acquiring. Now, what would the Sharks want back in return? For some reason, they're listed as sellers. They're one of the best teams in the NHL. They want to move out forwards, move out defense. So to get Musty, we can't really give them a Stone or a Risto or anything like that. But they do want Luke Misa. So if we were to say, listen, if we make all these trades and we have some spots open in our lineup, we could call up Luke Misa, but we may have passed the point of no return. To be 23, still a 78, he's putting up good numbers, close to point per game in the AHL, but I don't know, we tried him in the preseason a little bit. He wasn't bad, 1 goal, 2 points. I'm sure he would be okay, but for growth, by 24, 25, maybe we're lucky if he's an 81. I don't think we're at this point. In the real world, it'll be a different story, but in EA land, in franchise mode, I think we've passed the point of no return on Luke Misa. So Quinton Musty, same age, but 3 overall higher. A better player being buried in the AHL. So the Sharks seem to want Misa. I'm not sure what their plan is. They want young players. They're moving out good players. They have this guy in the AHL, but they're trying to move their roster despite being a winning team. I can't try and always create a storyline for the broken AI, but I can see that they want Luke Misa, and we want to move Luke Misa at this point. I wouldn't mind taking back Quinton Musty, who we'll give NHL minutes to for the rest of this season. So if we offer it straight up, it isn't sufficient at all. What would they want here? Looking at players who match their block, do you want Leclerc? Can I give you, and then you have too many skaters in your organization. It has to be someone who's unsigned then. So I can give you a draft pick or someone who's unsigned. Or we could say, is it actually, because if it's close, let's say we swap 7ths. If we swap 7ths in 2030, that adds a bit of value on our side, just to see, was this always on the fringe of going all along? No, value too far off. So if I say, let's give you an unsigned player, and that would probably be Beach, actually. 55 overall, 20 years old, low elite potential. We drafted him in the 4th round of 2028. I don't know, he's 20, still with only 1-star defense, half-star, a lot of stuff. This would be a guy who I don't think we'd ever really see growth from. He's a guy who we kind of, we draft with the intention of likely trading. So Jim Beach, let's throw him in the deal. And we could probably take back a little something. The Sharks should be, willing to give up some draft picks in situations like these. I know Musty is technically better than Misa, but to throw in a low elite prospect, as old and as bad as his overall may be or whatever, I think that should be able to recoup us some value here. So what about a 4th? Would that be crazy if I want Musty and a 4th here? No, it's quite close to fair value. All right, let's do a 5th and call it a day, San Jose. Musty and a 5th for Misa and Beach. Let's do it. Trade accepted. Thank you very much, San Jose. Luke Misa, good luck in San Jose. I'm sorry it didn't work out for you here. Quinton Musty, welcome to the Vancouver Canucks. Let's get to work. We got some more trades to do. That's absolutely for sure. All right, for our next trade now, we're going to the Columbus Blue Jackets, who, despite the record of 18, 19, and 5, are buyers. So, hey, they want to be buyers? They're buyers. They want to move this prospect here, Dominguez, who's a 70 overall at 18 years old. He is a former second-round pick, 39th overall in this past draft, 2028. He's a sniper with 3.5-star shooting. He's playing down in the OHL with Barrie. He's above point per game at 26 in 25. Last year, 72 points in 61 games. Crazy that he had 17 goals, 55 assists. Now this year, 16 goals, 10 assists, just total flip of the proportions. But all right, so Dorian Dominguez is a player that we would be looking to bring in. He's a right winger. We have a lot of the left wingers, I think, but bring in a right wing sniper, which would be helpful longer term. He's signed to his entry-level deal. He's on the block from Columbus. Now, who would the Blue Jackets want in return? If I look at skaters matching the block, yeah, they're open to a lot more here. So if I look at what are their actual needs, things look pretty full, pretty solid for the forwards. Defensive, yeah, they could use some defense. Yep. So let's see if we can do something on defense here for the Blue Jackets. Who's going your way, Susi or Risto? Either one works. Do they need to have more money? They have a lot of cap space. They still have 9. Yeah, so they can take Susie. We'll trade the more expensive option. Maybe they want a little depth forward, maybe? Because they had some 80 overalls in there. You looking at a little Jared Anderson-Dolan, maybe? Susie and JAD for Dominguez. What do you say about this, Columbus? Isn't sufficient at all. Okay. What if we retain 50% on Susie? Oh, bang! Okay, trade accepted! All right, great. All it took was some salary retention. Woo! That's all it took. Okay, wow. So Carson Soucy, good luck. And Jared Anderson-Dolan as well. 2 Stanley Cup champions. Good luck in Columbus, you guys. Trying to make a push for the postseason. That's what the team seems to be doing, so best of luck. JAD, we signed him as depth a while ago now. He played 25-26 in the AHL, and he's been spending now 3 and like a half seasons in the NHL. He has his Stanley Cup ring. Good for him. And of course, Carson Soucy, he was here when we took over the team, one of the original Canucks when we started. Soucy, he was always a fringe guy with his contract, but he ended up finding a place for himself on this team. Playing parts of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons here in Vancouver. Carson, all the best. Thank you for your time. You're a Stanley Cup champion, my friend. I hope you'll never forget the memories that we made. 4 points and a plus 11 on the last Stanley Cup run. Carson, buddy, good luck. And there's another deal done. All right, we still got more to do, though. I think now will be the time where we go to the trade finder. We'll go to the trade finder here. I'm glad we didn't have to give up any picks either in that deal there with Dominguez. And Dorian Dominguez, the DeLorean, welcome. So let's look at forwards. Who would want Mark Stone and what would be a good fit for Mark Stone? Let's see what teams are offering for him. So we got the Coyotes, Flames, Blackhawks are giving a good offer, but they're a fringe team as well. Dallas, Florida, the Canadians, a second and a third. Hard to say no to that. The Canadians, come on, please be a good team. The Canadians are 25-13-5. Yes. All right. Mark Stone to the Montreal Canadiens. I think this is going to be exactly it. I don't think we get much more than that. A second and a third. That is a great deal for the player who won the Conn Smythe last year. Second, third. Can we throw in a 7th Montreal? No. All right. So that's exactly how much we can get. Mark Stone, this is it, my friend. Thank you for your time here. We brought you in at the close to the deadline last season. 21 points in 32 games. This year, 26 points in 41 games. He's been good, on pace for over 50. He's doing great things at the age of 36. 30 points in 22 games and a plus 17 on our road to the Stanley Cup last year on his Conn Smythe victory. He will never be forgotten, remembered in the history books for us, doing our wrap-up and all that. He will always be remembered in this series history. Mark Stone, good luck in Montreal, and I hope that you can get another ring, my friend. A second and a third. Je suis sûr que le Canadien de Montréal sont très contents. Let's just do... Okay, I'll take care of this, and let's get back to another trade now. We gotta be careful as well with the salary cap. We can't really go under, right? We gotta be careful with the salary cap. So Risto has another 2.5 moving out. Our dear beloved son, Rasmus Ristolainen. I love you, Rasmus. But honestly, we're not gonna be keeping you after this year, so we gotta get value for you right now. A third from the Blackhawks. Hey, other team giving us 6ths and 7ths and 4ths. What? So the Blackhawks, a third from the Penguins, from the Buffalo Sabres, sorry, the Penguins third. A third and a player seems to be the best offer here from the Blackhawks. Could I take back some players? Okay, they're a fringe team as well. You want Risto, that's good. Let's see what I can work out. Do you have any players with negative value or anything? Philippe Danault? We could bring back Danault. Even Connor Murphy. Can I bring back Murphy and Danault for the salary cap? That would probably be very helpful for us. So Philippe Danault now at a 75 overall. He found his way back to the team that drafted him. He's been playing in the AHL. Maybe he can play 4th line to end the year if we need somebody in that slot. But Philippe Danault and Connor Murphy, they can come in here to Vancouver to help us towards the salary cap. And we take back a 3rd round pick. You know, we're the ones helping them here. They're the buyers. How about this straight up then? They would do this. Risto straight up for a 3rd, Murphy and Danault. Could I take back another 7th here? Another 7th for taking all that salary off your hands here. What do you say to that, Chicago? Value too far off. Could we swap 7ths? Can we swap? Do I have a how about a Vancouver 7th in 2030 for Chicago 7th in 2030? What do you say to that? You would do that also. Can I dump something? This is an interesting deal because we seem to finally have a team that wants to give negative value. Anyone else that we really want to dump here? Who's that guy? Yeah, Leclerc, who we got last year in that deal from the... Was it the Coyotes? Was that in the deal in like that Hedman 16 thing? Whatever. But Leclerc, low top 9 potential. He is 20, 66, In the AHL, played 2 games. Yeah, we're never going to be using him. As much as he might be valuable for the AHL team someday, can I get another 7th out of this? So we can dump that player who we're not using and get 2 7ths from the Blackhawks on top of the 3rd and some salary in Murphy and Dano. Okay, this is a little... Okay! All right, this turned into a tidy little transaction. Thank you, Chicago. Roster moves, we can just fix that up quickly. And there you go, our dear beloved son, Rasmus Ristolainen. Thank you for joining a Data 782 series once again, Rasmus. It was a great time having you. He scored the Stanley Cup winning goal in our postseason last year. 3 assists in 41 games this year, 18 points in 121 games as a Canuck. He was a -3 in total as well. But in the playoffs last year, 3 goals and a +15. He was incredible, including that 1-game winner that got us Lord Stanley. Rasmus, Stanley Cup champion Ristolainen, will miss you. Thank you for everything, my friend. That now just leaves, I think, maybe one more in a Zach Hyman deal. What would teams be offering us for Zach Hyman? A third, and a toss-in. Looks like, yeah, even Mason Marchment. A third and a toss-in seems to be what we can get here. Between the Coyotes and the Islanders, which team is actually a competitive team? No, Coyotes. How about the Islanders? Islanders... not much better. A little bit better. So a lot of fringe teams that are trying to make pushes here. All right, so we'll send Hyman to the Islanders. Can we get a 3rd and a 7th? 3rd and a 7th from the Islanders? Rejected. Disgusted. But a 3rd, let me guess, a 3rd they're dancing in the streets. Okay, they're still... Okay, a bit low for us. Okay. You know what? I'm not going to add anything. How about I just do some salary retention here? I'll retain 50% on Hyman. We've retained 50% on Susie, 50% on Hyman. Can we get a 3rd from you, New York? Yes, we can. How about... Can we get that 7th now? With the 50% retention? Come on. 2029. No, rejected. All right, A. Just the 3rd then. The 3rd this year. All right, New York. Thank you very much. Zach Hyman, wishing you all the best once again. Thank you for your time here in Vancouver. We brought you in last year at the deadline from the Penguins. 13 points in 20 games, -10. Then 7 points, -10 again in 41 games. So he had, what, 20 points? And was a -20 in 61 games as a Canuck, but Stanley Cup champion with 14 points and a +8 in 22 playoff games. So crazy, night and day from the playoffs and the regular season. So Zach Hyman, you got your Stanley Cup ring. We did it here in Vancouver. We made Pat's dreams come true, and we wish you all the best in New York. So that's great for the salary cap and for the draft pick situation. So we have a 1st, 2 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4 thirds, a 4th, 2 5ths, 2 6ths, and 2 7ths. Oh my goodness. Then in next year's draft, a 1st, a 2nd, 5 thirds, a 5th, a 6th, and a 7th. Wow. So definitely a lot of those picks will be moved in, maneuvering for prospects who we want. But I don't think there's any other trades that we're making here, at least until the deadline, excuse me. So, yeah, I think we'll stop there for now. Already, we're deep into this episode without even simulating anything. So let me fix the lines in the NHL and the AHL, do some call-ups, spread out some ice time, and we'll see how we're looking. Okay, so here's how the lineup is looking moving into the second half of year number 6. Our top line stays the same at Ratu, Pettersson, and Tippett. Now, starting on the second line, we'll have Lekaramäki on the second line because he gives it a +3. Callum Ritchie will move up to play second line center, and Quinton Musty will get his chance in the top 6, but at least in the middle 6. Might move him around after he's only played 18 games in the NHL so far in his career. 1 goal, 3 points. We're going to give him a big chance here as starting as a second liner. Maybe he'll swap around with O'Brien, who would still keep it as a +2. On the third line is Caden O'Brien with Goldman and Podkolzin. So Goldman gets to get full-time top 9. O'Brien's going to get third line plus power play. Again, he'll probably get a chance to move up into that top 6 as well, but we're going to start with Musty there because it does give it the +3. Same thing with Lekaramäki. I'd want him on the first line, but it wouldn't really do much for chemistry. On the fourth line, Aku Ratu has been called up. Atu Ratu's brother. We've had Aku in the AHL for a little bit. Yeah, it's been 1.5 years. Last year, 52 points in 71 games. This year, 32 and 37. Former 5th round pick in 2019. Aku and Atu playing on the same team here in Vancouver. Incredible. Josh Norris. Now, I'm putting him 4th line center, first unit power play and all that stuff. For penalty kill, everything. But at even strength, I'm putting him 4th line because he is a known. If we want to bring him back next year, we know what he is. 50, 60, whatever points, 85 overall, middle 6 centerman. We know that. He has term for next year. And if injuries happen, we can move him bump, whatever. But what we really want to know about is Richie and Goldman. We really want to know about those two and what they can do. So the priority for ice time does go to them. And then Zuccarello just continuing to play fourth line, whatever, doesn't really change our lives. On defense, still Hughes, Hamilton, Hanifin, Hronek. On the third pair, it's a -3, but we're going to live with it. We're going to go McIsaac and Hunter Brustovic, another guy who we probably going to be cutting loose very soon. He's now 24. In the real world, he was a big piece in the deal that got Elias Lindholm to Vancouver, and he went to Calgary. Third round pick in 2023. He was a little bit nerfed. He didn't have the right potential to start our series. Still in the 60s for shooting accuracy, 2.5-star defense. Let's give him a shot in the NHL, though. Let's give him that. He's been 4 years in the AHL. Let's give him a chance and see what he can do. Third pair minutes with Jared McIsaac. Why not? Goaltending remains the same at Jones and DeSmith. Scratch, of course, we have Philippe Danault. Welcome back to Vancouver. We had him for our first, 4 seasons? So yeah, year number 5 we traded him, and now year number 6 he is back. So Philippe Danault will be in a depth role, and we'll call up Connor Murphy as well to be 7th defenseman. Down in the AHL, we'll try to get growth from Johnston, Niskala, Gustavo Kelly, Miknov, Shen. That's about it. So continuing as is. And by the way, the chemistry is the way that it is because I have indeed listened to the comments. I promoted Ryan Suter to NHL head coach. We'll see how he does. We'll keep Hronek as associate coach for now. I don't know if he'll stay. His morale isn't very high, so maybe we got to dump him. Whatever. Lower morale helps for our tanking efforts here. So with this team now, we got a ton of picks. We got a couple young players involved as well. We're gonna have a lot of money in the off season. Hopefully, a very high draft pick as well. We're gonna continue to scout. The scouts are doing what they got to do. I'm gonna do the next report on the 23rd, so I got to remind myself of that. And now we're gonna move towards the deadline, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll see what happens toward there. Of course, now the game's gonna put us on a crazy tear. We're gonna win the division. We're gonna go to the Stanley Cup Final. But let's just see what happens. So first game at home since a big sell-off at the halfway point. GM Data has said it is time to sell, and that is what we've done. Now the 16-21-4 Canucks will be hosting the Ducks here in Vancouver. Bit of a new look squad, a couple of debuts as well, and Lekaramaki scores one of the first shots of the night on the power play. Second period, 1-1. We still want to see good performances. We don't want to win too much now. Howe scores to tie it up. Second period, 2-2. Lekaramaki scoring his second, and Troy Terry tying it up soon after. Shots are 29-22 for the Ducks, and we are tied at 2. Tom Goldman on the power play makes it 3-2 Vancouver. I don't think he's had power play time before, so that was probably his first career power play goal. 5-on-3 extended power play. 5-on-4, that's all killed off by the Ducks. Halfway point, Quinn Hughes, the captain, wakes up with a 4-2 victory. Yeah, here come the victories now, ladies and gentlemen. Start pouring them on. Final 5 minutes, up by 2. Will it be enough? And it looks like it will be. Shots end 36-34, but Hunter Jones puts on a clinic. Dougie Hamilton, 3 assists. Jonathan Lekaramaki with 2 goals, and the Canucks win 4-2. Of course they do. All right, let's get to the calendar now. You know, worst case, we end up being a mid-team and we have a mid-pick, but at least we have a ton of other picks that we can use to trade up. If we end up having the 14th overall pick, we can take the 14th and Montreal 2nd and a couple thirds and trade up into that top 6, top 7, whatever it might be. So I wouldn't say to be too worried about that just yet. All right, let's go see. Let's just sim a little bit. Let's sim a little bit now. We've done a lot of intro. I've done a lot of talking. Let's get a little bit of simulation in. A 5th and Jared McIsaac for a 3rd and 6th. Nah, we want Jared McIsaac. We want him. We got him playing down there. 6-2 loss. Mild concussion right away for Quinton Musty already after a 6-2 loss. So that's where O'Brien slots up. That's where Norris slots up. And let's put him on the wing, I guess. And that's where Philippe Danault comes in for 3rd line. Sorry, for 4th line, excuse me. By the way, if I didn't show you, the power play units look like this. Unit number 1 and unit number 2. So we'll see how those guys do in those roles. So, okay, Connor Murphy's healthy. We'll call him up if it need be. 6-2 loss, a 5-3 win. I want to go towards the 23rd, we said, right? I keep reminding myself. 5-3 win. A couple more days. One more game against the Kraken. No thank you. Vegas, and it's a 6-3 win. Of course it is. Of course it is. We're 20, 22, and 4. Since selling, we are 4 and 1. Incredible. So I'll get Quinton Musty back into the lineup, and then we'll go ahead and I'll do the scouting update, then we'll keep on simulating. And you know what? I totally forgot that we want Musty on the power play. So as much as we want Tom Goldman to get ice time, he's still just 19. He's playing full-time third-line center. I wouldn't mind taking him off the power play and getting Musty the extra ice time. So Quinton Musty will play on the power play, on the second power play unit. I suppose we can leave O'Brien with the better shooting, 88-88 on the accuracies. Yeah, we can leave him as the finisher there, and Musty can go to the point. All right, scouting, then back to the calendar. Okay, back to the calendar. Let's get simulating a little bit. Couple of weeks at a time. Let's see what we can do here on the road against the Kings. 5-3 loss. There we go. A few L's now. 4-1 loss, 2-0 loss. All right, for once, we finally want to see those. 5-2 loss on the road, then an 8-1 win in Madison Square Garden of all places. All right, let's keep on going for another couple of weeks. Now a lot of teams want Jared McIsaac, eh? I don't want to move him, though. Ratu, mild concussion. Not out for long, though, but Atu is going to be out a little bit. So let's see. Well, let's go crazy. O'Brien on the top line. And Norris can come up like we saw already, and Danault fills in. There you go. Philippe Danault, Mr. Utility, no problem. And it's not long either. He's only out for about like 3 games, I think. 7-3 loss after a little break there. Maybe the All-Star break was that? Against the Panthers. On the road against the Bruins. 5-2 loss. There you go. Keep them coming. At 2 back in the lineup. Musty has a playable injury. DeSmith. Tough numbers from Casey this year. Let's swap Musty and O'Brien now. Ooh, Musty, only 2 points in 11 games, eh? Come on, Quinton, you're playing, what, 15, 19 per night? Oh! Let's get Caden up there with Richie and Lekaramaki. I understand the playmaking might not be there very much, but... yeesh. I know this team's bad, but come on. Musty heal, there you go. All right, let's get O'Brien into the top 6 for a little bit, see what Caden can do. I got to stop the sim now. Okay, so 5-2 loss, 4-3 overtime loss, win, loss. We're 22, 29, and 6 approaching the deadline. Let's get right up to it. We have Riley Walsh on waivers. Defenseman, 29, 78 overall. Offensive defenseman. No, I think we'll pass on Riley Walsh. We'll be all right. Let's keep on going. Rangers, we beat them 8-1, and then 2 weeks later, or 3 weeks later, we beat them 5-1. 4-3 win against the Panthers. Hannafin for a second and third being offered. 2-1 win, 7-0 win. We're 26, 29, and 6 now. Was that too good of a change, but O'Brien in the top 6? Pettersson still around point per game as we're 1 game removed, or 1 game out from the trade deadline. Tippett, yeah, he's slowed down 47. Hughes 46. Norris 42, though. Norris, 21 points in 31 games. He's looking good. For his limited ice time, he's looking good. Lekaramaki 40, Ratu 39, Dougie, Hronek. Yeah, Caden O'Brien, he has what? 7 goals since we put him in the top 6? Or no, he had 12, I think. So 4 goals. Richie 23 put goals in. Goldman, he's getting his ice time. He's not playing 8, he's playing 11-15. Hannafin -9. McIsaac, Musty. Okay, got a couple of assists. Brucevic 3 points and -1. Akuratu 1 assist, playing 8:47 per night. And goaltending, there you have it. 2 shutouts from Hunter Jones somehow this year. 24, 24, and 5 is his record. I'll do my due diligence and check around the trade blocks in the NHL, but I wouldn't say there's anyone that we're really selling right now. It would be more of those draft day type things. O'Brien, Richie. I'm not sure we trade any of those right here, right now. But that being said, I will do my due diligence, check for any interesting prospects on the block especially, and see if anything comes up. So at this point in the video, ladies and gentlemen, apologies, my microphone cut out for the next about 8 minutes, I think. Then I re-recorded my audio as I'm doing right now, and it just didn't capture. So 3rd time's a charm, here I go for the next 8 minutes or so of this video. I did my due diligence, and looking around the blocks, one player did stand out, Hugo Brassois from the Avalanche, defensive defenseman, 1st round pick a couple of years ago, has like 57 points in 39 games in the QMJHL. But if we were to acquire him from the Avalanche, they would want right now pieces. The Caden O'Briens, the Quinton Musties are younger guys, and like, yeah, we could think about moving them, but O'Brien's has been picking up a little bit, 16 goals. Musty, we just acquired him. Richie, we got him from the Avalanche in the Thatcher Demko deal, so it wouldn't really make sense to make a trade with the Avalanche right here. I just wanted to highlight Brassois, and the trade value is pretty close, because if we were to look at a prospect in the near future, he'd probably be one of those guys. But when it comes to the players that the Avalanche would want, the Stones, the Susies, the Ristos, the Hymans, we already traded all of those, so we can't make the trade right now, but the only prospect that really stood out was Brassois, and we can hopefully revisit him come draft time. So a busy trade deadline around the league. Lindell to the Canadians, Uyghur to the Hurricanes, Kotkaniemi to the Flames, Goulet to the Jets, Evangelista to the Islanders, Gavrikov to the Blue Jackets, Sveshkov to the Kings, Dursey to the Blue Jackets. Then, of course, Hugo Brassois, yes, he got traded to the Flyers in the end, so I highlighted that, but then it was a disappointment as he got moved to the Flyers, and only with a 3rd and another piece for Ruzicka and a 3rd. So that was a shock. Like, I know his value wasn't a ton, but I don't know Adam Ruzicka, what's up with him. Morgan Frost went to the Coyotes for Harabel. That was another huge blockbuster there. He's like an 87 overall goalie, and Frost is an 87. Turcotte to the Flames, Kopp to the Kings, Geeky to the Rangers, Zadorov to the Coyotes. So that was a trade deadline. Moving into the final 20 games or so, we're 27, 29, and 6 into the final stretch here. Nice 3-0 shutout loss. Daniil Chaika on waivers from Vegas, 77 overall, former, second round pick. 26 years old with 70 potential. We will pass on him. A good prospect in the real world. 6-2 win, 6-4 loss, 4-3 overtime loss. Nico Sturm on waivers. We have him in our Starfleet series. 16 points, 8 goals in 64 games. Is that in the AHL? But regardless, I think we'll just go ahead and pass on him. We have the depth that we need for this year. Shootout loss, 7-1 win, incredible. Aku Ratu fractured jaw. Okay, so Ratu's going to have a little bit of time on the sidelines here. We're going to go ahead and just slot Danault onto the fourth line. Norris can stay there on the fourth line center, and we'll just bring Danault in for the wing, I suppose, down to a 74 overall. We'll just bring him in to be a little spot filler. O'Brien up to 19 goals. Musty at 7 points now. Put Coles in with a +2. Lekaramaki, 25 goals from him. Maybe, and then Ratu 20 goals. Maybe we bring Ratu down so that O'Brien can be the goal scorer on the second line. Lekaramaki goes to the first. I don't know. Let's just try that. Why not? Let's go crazy with it. Then what? We had 4-1 win, 3-2 overtime win, 3-2 shootout win. Man, we're good. Whoa! We're too good beyond regulation. Then, of course, this one caught me by surprise at the time, and now I'm reacting for like a third time, but it still gets me that it always pops up right there. Quinn Hughes out for the year with an MCL sprain, so we're going to go ahead and call up Connor Murphy to fill the spot. That's why we got him from the Blackhawks. He is going to fit well as just a placeholder. We don't need to call up anyone who, like those 71 overall low elite guys. We can just let them continue in the AHL, and Connor Murphy can come up and play with Brustovic, and he gives him a -1 as opposed to the -3 that Brustovic had with McIsaac. So Hamilton will come to the first power play unit, give it a +5, and then on the second power play unit, we'll get Goldman back in there. Yes. So 5 forwards, but it's all about the ice time. It's all about that magic ice time. So lineup's back. The captain, Quinn Hughes, is out for the season, ladies and gentlemen, with the MCL sprain. It's almost better like that. Almost a blessing in disguise. Sebastian Aho is on waivers as well. We also declined picking him up, the other Sebastian Aho. So Quinn Hughes, kind of maybe a little bit of a blessing in disguise that we get, if you're injured, take the year off, take the rest of the year off, start the off season early, get healthy. Speaking of getting healthy, Aku Ratu is healthy. Fractured jaw. I guess nowadays, modern medicine, fractured jaw doesn't mean too much, but Danault will come back out, and then Ratu will go back to the fourth line. There you go. As I think everyone's healthy aside from Hughes now. So let's see, a 5-1 win, 4-1 loss, 5-1 loss. The Avalanche, 6-2 loss, good. We're going to sim towards the end of the year. 4-2 win, 3-2 loss, just a game below 500. A shootout loss, shootout win. Again, beyond regulation, what is going on? We're just unstoppable here. 3 games left in the season. Let's go see the Islanders, Hyman and the Islanders. Quentin Musty, sore shoulder. A sore shoulder that's going to keep him out for the year. Have to get you world-class masseuses, massage therapists. Come on. What is this? Sore shoulder? You're going to be out for a week. You're fighting for your NHL life, and you're going to be out for a sore shoulder. Okay, so let's give Aku Ratu the ice time. Throw him up on the third. Danault comes back in. We'll throw O'Brien on the 4-man power play. There we go. All right. Nobody has passion. No passion from Musty, I guess. Brock Nelson on waivers. A lot of guys going on waivers here. So Sturm, Chaika, Nelson, Aho, we decline all of those. And then another shootout win. Oh my goodness. All right, now facing the Islanders. We're facing Hyman and the Islanders. They are 38, 36, and 6, I think I saw. First period, Callum Ritchie. There you go. Second period, of course, power play goal Pettersson. We're up 2-0. That is what we love to see when we're trying to finish below 500. 2-0. And there's Zach Hyman, double agent Zach Hyman. We gave him the codes to get into our territory, and he got one past Jones in tight, but then put Coles in. He's really like that. He is really like that. What a guy. But Colson just had to add another. He couldn't hold back. Just a pure animal goal scorer. Just couldn't hold back. 3-1, and we get another dub. That guarantees us to finish above 500, I believe now, right? As we go to 37, 35, and 9. Great. So we're guaranteed to finish above 500. We're on pace for like 32 wins. Now we're going to finish with 37 or 38. Last game of the season at home hosting the Oilers. Let's hope for one last L. There we go. 2-0 O'Brien and Hronik after 20. But all right. 4-2 after 40. Nuge, Whitecloud, LeBlanc, and Nuge again. 4-2 Oilers. But Colson, He's really like that. But two goals in 2 games he couldn't hold back at the end of the year. But Foegele establishes a 2-goal lead, making it 5-3 Oilers. Halfway through the third period, being outshot 39-28. Final few minutes, power play Vancouver. Nice shorthanded goal from LeBlanc. That's his second of the evening. 6-3 Oilers. That'll be all she wrote. Shots end 43-31. DeSmith in for that one. Maybe we should have played DeSmith more. O'Brien, third star. Everyone has played their 82nd game. Wonderful. Let's check out the standings now, ladies and gentlemen. The moment of truth. Where does this postseason miss bring us? Hopefully not in the teens. I want to hope for the mid to late 20s where we would finish here, scrolling down. Fingers crossed, not seeing us yet. All right, 24th in the league. So if we're counting from the bottom for our draft pick, it'll be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It'll be 9th best odds in the lottery. We have the 9th overall pick at this moment before the lottery has happened. So 24th place. Yeah, with a record of 37, 36, and 9. Too bad 31, 32 wins would have got us into that bottom 3, bottom 4. Power play at 19.6%. Bruins at 31.2. Wow. 19.6 got us to closer to the bottom. It's closer to the top than the bottom, excuse me. Then a penalty kill of 81.3 is actually also closer to the top than the bottom. Weak year for the penalty kill. We had a great record at home and a poor record on the road, 14, 22, and 5, but 23, 14, and was it 4 at home? And then we could have had a worse record in our last 10. That was unfortunate. What I'm going to go ahead and do now before showing you the point totals from season end, I will show you just a quick reminder of what our point totals were at the halfway point. So as you can see on the screen here, remember Pettersson was on pace for 82, Tippett was on pace for 72, Hughes was on pace for 56. We're going to start breaking that down now. I'll keep it in the bottom right corner. You can't see it as well, so I'll just make sure to keep referencing to it. Elias Pettersson ends with 83 points, so 1 point above his first half pace. He did not hit 30 goals. No one did, actually. Tippett ended up leading the team in goals with 28, so Pettersson ended 1 point above point per game at 83. Pretty much what we've come to expect from him at this point. Through his 6 years with us, that's technically his second best season, actually. He's never had more than 85. I don't know on Elias Pettersson. I don't know. Tippett slowed down a little bit, didn't hit 72. He ended with 60, but we knew that he would hopefully be a 60-some point guy, and that's what he was. Increased role this season. Give him a better team, some better supporting cast line mates. I think he could touch 70 in the near future. Ratu was on pace for 54. He ends with 59. That's nice. Hughes was on pace for 56 and 82. He ended with 55 and 72, so okay, stronger second half as well. Lekharmaki was on pace for 26 goals and 48 points. He ends with 27 goals and 52 points. So again, good second half from Lekharmaki. His ice time was up. He showed us some good things. Josh Norris, what did he do as a Canuck? 28 points in 52 games. Okay, Josh Norris, again, limited ice time, 10 power play points, but playing like fourth line minutes. Let's see him in the middle 6 and maybe even the top 6 next season. Dougie Hamilton was on pace for 38. He scored 47. Same for Hronik. He scored 45. Now, Caden O'Brien, he was on pace for 16 goals and 26 points. He ended with 22 goals and 37 points. So we still want to see more from him, as I'm still happy to see 22 goals, 37 points, close to 40, maybe give him a full season where he was. Still want to see more, but it is nice to see something, a little bit of life from him, some signs of life. Callum Ritchie, same thing. He's on pace for 22 points. He ends with 35. He had the increased ice time, and he showed us a little bit more of what he could do. So just in the second half from O'Brien and Ritchie, O'Brien in 41 second half games scored 26 points. So give him a full season, and that would be a 52-point pace. For Callum Ritchie, he had scored only 11 points. So that means 24 points in 41 second half games. That's a 48-point pace. So, things to keep in mind. After Ritchie, we see Podkolzin, 17 goals from him, 29 points. We love Podkolzin. Goldman ends with 25 points. He was on pace for a 16-point season, so 25 points from him. That would have been 17 points in 41 second-half games, a 34-point pace over the year, playing 12 minutes per night, 79 overall. Okay, all right, we can live with that. Hanifin, 25, Zuccarello, 19 at 41 years of age. Quinton Massey picked it up a little bit in the end. He was quiet at the beginning, like 4 points in, 11, 12 games? 13 points in 37 games, plus 9 from the young 23-year-old who was getting 14 minutes in the NHL as opposed to playing AHL minutes. McIsaac, 9 points, plus 10. Brucevic, 8 points, plus 6 in 41 games. Hey, look at you. Good for you, Hunter. Akuratu, 4 points, -4 in 36. Connor Murphy, a couple assists. Phil Dano, welcome back. He had an assist. Goaltending, Hunter Jones, he appeared in 74 games. That means DeSmith got pulled a ton. 35, 29, and 8 was Jones's record with 2 shutouts, 914 save percentage, 2.83 goals against, while DeSmith went 2, 9, and 1, really hurting his career numbers with us. 876 save percentage, ouch, and 4.05 goals against. Doesn't say times pulled, eh? No. If we had known, well, not if we had known, but just, maybe I should have played DeSmith a little bit more. I don't know, he just got pulled so often. Jones didn't start 74 games. Wow. Okay, looking at the entire NHL quickly, if you are curious, Pasternak 111 points to win the Rocket and the Art Ross. Cale Makar 90 points there to likely win the Norris. And you got Kevin Lankinen at an 82 overall with 45 wins to get him the Vezina probably, right? And you know what? For such a bad season, look at Hunter Jones up there. He's up there with 35 wins. Shout out to our good old friend Thatcher Demko. Rookie skaters, anybody? No, none of ours. Dawson Bennett, the second overall pick, yeah, in 2028. All right. If we just want to look at some of the players we traded away this season, of course, Sam Reinhart, one of them earlier on in the last episode in the Josh Norris deal. He ended up scoring 46 points in 52 games, of course. 12 points in 30 games, but then 46 in 52. Of course, what was his ice time, though? Okay, increased, let's say, from this season. But that's like a minute more than what he was doing a couple of years ago when he scored 58 and 82. Crazy. So crazy? Come on! Just got a Serenity now. Serenity now. Aside from that, Zach Hyman here on the Islanders, of course. Hyman scored 18 points in 41 games. So there you go, 38-point pace from him. Instead of a 14-point pace with us. He was also a +4, and he had even less ice time. 20 seconds less ice time per night, 14-point pace to 38-point pace. I hate this game so much. Mark Stone, here we go with the Canadians. Mark Stone, 22 points in 39 games. Good, so about that same pace, a little bit less even. His ice time went down by a lot, so almost the same point pace, but almost like 7.5 minutes less per night. So Mark Stone looking good. Anything else? Maybe Misa in San Jose. Did he play in the NHL? Misa, he played 1 game in the NHL. Did he get sent down to the AHL? No, he was just being wasted. Played 1 game for 9 minutes and 46 seconds to make his NHL debut. Luke Misa. I think that's it for the trades. Remind me if there's anything that I missed. I can let you know in the comments or in the Discord server. But that is about it for the point totals this season, ladies and gentlemen. Year number 6 has come to a close. And at this point, we can go ahead and sim towards the draft down in the AHL. We might make the playoffs there. 34, 27, and 9 is our record. So I'm going to sim towards the draft. I'll keep you posted on the postseason, the awards. I'll update the scouting. And the next time that we pause the menu pretty much will be when we're looking at the draft lottery results. So, ladies and gentlemen, year number 6 has come to a close. Let's sim towards the offseason and figure out what our plan will be after this selling that we just did. No playoff episode coming up. We're going straight to the offseason next time. So, let's sim towards then. Alright, so the playoffs have come to an end, and your 2029 Stanley Cup champions are the Nashville Predators. How about that? And Laval Rocket winning the Calder Cup down in the AHL. We'll start seeing a few things here. I'm going to keep my hand up so I don't see the draft lottery order whenever it does come in. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Get ready for the draft lottery. Slowly uncovering it. Remember, we had the 9th pick, so we'll see what comes our way, if anything. The 16th overall pick is going to the Tampa Bay Lightning, staying in Tampa. Pick number 15 to Ottawa from Washington. Pick number 14, Calgary. 13, St. Louis. 12, Anaheim. 10, hold on. 10 to 11, Pittsburgh dropping. Oh, come on! We dropped from 9 to 10 because the Islanders in 11th win and jump to number 2. Everything else staying the same. Oh, man, dramatic reveal for nothing. We dropped from 9 to 10. In the draft lottery. All right, retired players here in 2029. Crosby calls it a career, his entire career spent with Pittsburgh. 710 goals and 1,903 points in 1,671 games, retiring at the age of 41. Kopitar went back to the Kings, retired with them. That's a great story. Tavares, Wheeler, ROR, Ben, Duchesne, Eberle. Stone retires after missing out on a cup, another cup with Montreal. Good for him on a great career, though. And I'm glad that we could send him to a contender before going off into the sunset. No one else with any relation to us retiring. Oh, Philippe Dano! There he is! Dano calls it a career! What a career for the legend. 3 points shy of 500. Philippe, félicitations, mon ami. What a career. Almost 1,000 games played. Goalies Bobrovsky, Freddie Anderson, and a few other names there. All right, so there's the retirement class. It's a big one here in 2029. Nothing that affects us too much as we continue to go towards this. Tavares is now a coach. All right. Coach retirements. Anything for us? Nothing in Abbotsford, nothing in Vancouver. Good. Draft interviews, no need because the draft class is just about fully uncovered for the first 300 players. It's ridiculous. And here we are now at the draft. So let's see the playoffs, the postseason that was. So it ended up being the Bruins and the Predators in the Stanley Cup Final, and the Preds won in a 7-game series. Congrats to Nashville winning their first Stanley Cup. Looking at the awards now, Nashville winning the Stanley Cup, of course. Boston winning the President's Trophy, then losing the Cup in 7 games. That's brutal. Individual awards, Art Ross went to Pastrnak, same for the Hart Trophy. James Norris to Makar, Lady Byng to Pastrnak, Calder to Dawson Bennett, Forsberg winning the Conn Smythe, Vezina to Georgiev, Jennings as well going to the Sharks goaltender, Bill Masterton to Brent Clark, Jack Adams to the coach of the Kings, Selke to Leon Draisaitl, who found his way to Pittsburgh. He didn't have enough in NHL 23. He wanted more. Wow. Ted Lindsay to Pastrnak, and Rocket Richard to McLeod. Oh, really? I thought that Pastrnak had won the Rocket Richard with his 50-some goals. Let me go check that out after. And no awards for us down in the AHL. My apologies. 53 goals, but 94 points from Brendan McLeod. First overall pick in 2027. Already like a 90-some overall. Was it? Did I see 96? Yeah, whoa, that's crazy. 96 overall at 19 years old? What? All right, so there are the awards. There's the playoff tree and all that jazz. Philip Forsberg wins the Conn Smythe. Now we'll just quickly look at the progress reports before we think about the offseason plan. Josh Norris up to an 87. How much of this will hold is the question. Lekaramaki 83, Ritchie 81, Goldman 80, Pettersson 93, Hamilton down to an 85, Hughes 91, Jones 85, O'Brien up to an 82, Niskala up to a 78. All right, McIsaac down as well to a 78. Okay, in the system, who saw big growth? Let's see, nothing much from the top guys. Johnson's up to from a 75 to a 76. Miknov and Shen both up from 71 to 72. Muller from a 68, I think, to a 72. That's good. Dorian Dominguez up to a 71. In the end, what did he do? 51 points in 58 games in the OHL. Yeah, not great, but he's up to a 71. Gustavo Kelly did not grow. Other guys who we have in playing in Europe and stuff like that: Bomek, Engqvist, Markstrom, Naslund. All right, Fritz Meyer. Goalies, Ash up to a 57. Okay. All right, so just like that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going from being at the halfway point at the beginning of this episode to now thinking about the off-season plan. Leave your thoughts for the next one down here on YouTube or over on the Discord server. So expiring contracts heading into next season. Aatu Räty will get his big deal. I think we want to commit long-term to him, so I'm thinking something in that 6-ish year range, like a 6x6 type of thing on Räty potentially. That's kind of the range I'm thinking. We know that, yeah, he'll take cheap for 2-3 years, but I'm thinking 6x6 type of range. Let me know your thoughts. Lekaramaki is up to an 83. He would take 1 more year as an RFA, or we could do 6x. Oh, maybe that's a bit too long term. I don't know. We could go into the 4, 5, 6 year range, even 8. But I don't want to cheese it too much because he just had a good year in the top 6. Let's try and figure out something in the middle for him. But Colson we'd love to keep, of course. Yeah, we can afford that. And then a bunch of other names who we're mostly going to be letting walk. A few of our UFAs, drafted players and stuff like that. Keep in mind that we'll have almost $27 million for extension dollars, so we can definitely still be big players in free agency. Goaltending, DeSmith expiring. Do we bring him back as third goalie? 1.7. I'd give you league minimum, Casey. So we'll see if his demand changes or what. So that being said, if our team next year is something along the lines of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I don't know, O'Brien in the top 6, but Colson, Musty, Ritchie, third line, Goldman still fourth line. Yeah, so something has to change because Goldman and Ritchie, if they're staying, I don't know which of those young prospects are staying and which ones we're thinking about moving. Whoever's staying has to not be buried on the fourth line. That's the thing. So Musty's in this lineup now as well. We have to be aware of that. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if we say that we look to move Ritchie or Musty or O'Brien for the next one. Yeah, and then of course on defense, 1, 2, 3, 4 pretty much. McIsaac still could be 7th D. We would bring him back at, yeah, like 1.1 or something. Hannafin, he has a 2-year extension that's starting, but Hughes, Hronek, they're still signed on. Hamilton will be on the final year of his deal. Do we look to capitalize on his value? He has a strong second half. He still scored, what, 47 points this year? Do we look to just try and get value out of him while he still has it? Make a big splash in free agency? We'll see what kind of defensemen might be available for the pending free agents, potential pending free agents. If we look at the UFAs and look first at the defense, so we might see Heiskanen, Bouchard, Miller, Dursey, Romanov, Liljegren, Lindell. Those are the 84 overalls and up. I'm definitely partial to the ones who are not named Lindell, who are in that 29, 30-year-old range. All these guys, Liljegren and up, are all guys who I would say that I'm interested in. So keep that in mind. And then for the forwards for the UFAs, maybe not a ton for the UFAs. Nuge, Eriksson Ek, who won't be in the league anymore at this point. And then, yeah, down the list here we go for any names that may jump out at you. Just scrolling a little bit for you there. Okay, so now the big moment is looking at the draft board. We have the 10th overall selection. Then we'll have, in the second round, the 9th overall selection. That's what, pick number 41. Then we also have a second from Montreal. We have those 1, 2, 3, 4 third-round picks, mostly at the beginning of the third round, which is great news there as well. Fourth, a couple fifths, a couple sixths, and then a couple sevenths. So we'll definitely be trading around. I don't think we'll be using all of those picks. We'll be using packaging 2, 3, or 4 to move up for guys that we want to get. Now the question will be, who are those guys? Right now, if we were to select at number 10, we would get René Fisset from the Drummondville Voltigeurs of the QMJHL. 1 year away, A+ shooting. Ooh, as a sniper, as a center sniper. But first, let's look at the top of the class here. So Nico Salmelainen, he's a medium elite gem, 18 years old, NHL ready, A+ shooting and puck skills. 23 points in 58 games with A+ competition. Ned Buss from USA West is a medium elite sniper, also NHL ready. Liam Dansk, right-handed two-way D, NHL ready, playing in the SHL. Frederick Lundqvist, playing in the SHL, a medium elite gem, NHL ready, A+ shooting, A+ puck skills. And then Rick Neal, USA East playmaker, also NHL ready, A+ puck skills, A shooting, 101 points in 67 games. From there, we're looking at guys who are 3 years away. Keegan Lockhart is NHL ready. Keep that in mind, from the SHL. A+ shooting, a left-wing sniper. Do we have too many of those? I don't know. He's NHL ready. Ian Albert, 1 year away, offensive defenseman from the WHL. René Fisset, like we said, 1 year away, A+ shooting. Those are some very good attributes to see there. A+ shooting, pro release with the strengths and all that. From there, if we were to look further on down, Bjorkstrand 1 year away. Nikitin 1 year away, right two-way D. So this guy's ready. This guy's 1 year away. Some good NHL-ready talent here. 2 years away, 3 years away. Anyone else who's not 2 or 3 years away for the rest of the class? No, everyone after that. Ooh, hold on. Franklin Quint, classic end of the first round NHL-ready defenseman, right? Yup. Franklin Quint, 17 years old, medium top 4D. He'll likely never grow from whatever overall he is right here, but I think we would have to draft him, right? 2 years away for Oleg Datsuk. Whoo, Oleg Datsuk. 2 years away for Dwayne Clough. Potentially low top 60. Yeah, not interested in that. And there we go. So looking just at all the players here, sorting by potential, any late surprises? There is this guy, this goalie Dalton Beach, medium elite gem, but 5 years away. Is it worth it to take a 19-year-old? I don't know. There's Jacob Bykov, who's a Ukrainian goalie, also 5 years away, but a year younger, around the same spot. Yuri Zubov, another medium elite goalie, 5 years away and 20 years old, but you can get him at 151 or 161 instead of in the 50s and 40s. Anyone else in medium elite? No, there's a low elite here in Kravchenko. Not a great class, unfortunately, yeah. And these lower guys, we don't have them fully uncovered in the later stages. But, of course, tons of players uncovered between like 1 and 150, pretty much everyone uncovered. Some medium top 6s in here, perhaps. A gem here at 30, yeah, okay. Montoya. Yeah, weak class. Yikes, not a lot of high-end talent here. I don't want to trade all of our picks for picks next year. I want to draft the good guys from this year, but it wouldn't be a crazy thing to package a second and a third for maybe, or a second and 2/3 for a first next season type of thing. A few low top 6s. A good number of low top 6s here. Yeah, a very good number of low top 6s that we could try and look at targeting. And then after that, it moves into the top 4Ds. Not a lot. Yikes. Low top 4Ds, though. There's way more of those. Yeah. then into the top 9s, and there you have it. Very quickly, you're into those top 9s. So not a great draft class. I think it was a low-medium class, so we already knew that going into it. But yeah, still some good talent. I think we definitely want to look at trading up into that top 5 for a medium elite if possible. Question is, who would we go for, and what other players are we looking for as well? Do we even look to use some of our draft capital to trade for players? It doesn't have to just be for picks now and picks next year. It could also be for prospects who are ready to go or for NHL caliber players. So keep that in mind. It's impossible to see the trade blocks right now, unfortunately. We can only see ours and the trade value that players have. Actually, Shen, he jumped from low elite to medium elite. Ooh, Mohammed Shen, 4th round pick in 2026. Low elite to now medium elite. His trade value took a big jump there. Okay, keep that in mind. And then aside from that, yeah, the rest of the trade value looks pretty good. Bouillon, Brown, a couple guys who will want to get signed. Niskala could be in the NHL next season. In the end, Niskala scored 49 points in 72 games. All right, Dominguez going to see some growth. Yeah, there's the rest of those guys. And then we could use a goalie in the system, absolutely. Yeah, just kind of rambling now, but that's how the things look heading into this offseason. Coaching staff, do we leave Ryan Suter as our head coach? He's still A-. Roenick has dropped from A+ to A. We could think about making some other coaching changes if there's someone that really stands out to us. Maybe. Suter did well in that second half as head coach. We had a good second half record. Yeah, 22, 15, and 6. So there you go, Ryan Suter. So ladies and gentlemen, there was the second half and our preliminary thoughts headed into the off season. Leave any and all your thoughts down here on YouTube in the comments or over in the Discord server, link in the description. Leave a like if you haven't already, and of course, subscribe for all of our ongoing series here on the channel between NHL 24, MLB The Show 24 coming very soon, and breaking news and analysis in the real world of hockey as the real world trade deadline is just less than a week away now. Breaking news live streams always coming as every trade happens. Don't forget to send in your ballot as well for the second induction to the Data 782 Hall of Fame. The link for that is in the pinned comment. And I'll leave you off there. I'm very excited to see what our plan will be headed into the offseason to be stronger for year number 7 in 2029-30. But it will require a very busy offseason ahead, and I'm looking forward to seeing you there.